Hello everyone, my name is Sandeep Singh and our today's video assignment topic is application layer and client server programming. So we will cover the topics application layer and client server programming, then what is the application layer, then we will cover key principle of client server architecture, then we will cover the uniform resource locator URL autonomy, then we will cover the URL components such as scheme, host, port, path, query, fragment. Then we will cover URL encoding and decoding. Then we will cover handling URLs in client server application. Then we will have the foundation application layer protocol. Then HTTP request and response structure. Then best practices for reverse client server application. Then it will end. So our first definition is application layer and client server programming. Welcome to this deep dive into the essential concept of client server programming. This presentation explores the application layer, key architecture principles, and the core role of the uniform resource locator. In web application, we will divide into the workings of the HTTP, the foundation protocol, underpinning modern internet communication. What is the application layer? Application layer. The application layer is the top layer of the TCP/IP model. It is responsible for providing network services to the user and application. It facilitates communication between applications including web browsers, email clients, and file transfer programs. User interaction. The application layer handles user interaction, translating requests into network-ready data and presenting result to the user. It orchestrates the processing involved in sending, receiving, and processing in network data. Next, we have key principles of client-server architecture. First one is client-server model. Second one is request-response cycle, and third one is network-based communication. This model defines a communication pattern between two distinct entities: a server client that initiates requests and a server that responds to those requests. Client and server communicate via a network, often the internet. And second one is request response cycle. The foundation of the client server interaction is request response cycle. Client sends request to the server and the server processes this request, generating a sending back response. Third one is network based communication. Client server application rely on network for communication. The internet, intranets, and local networks are common platform for client server interactions. Then we have uniform resource locator URL autonomy. URL uniform resource locator is a unique address used to identify, locate resource on the internet. It is cornerstone of web addressing. And second one is components. URL are structured with specific components: the scheme, host, port, path, query, and fragment. Third one is resource access. URL allow application to request resource for servers, enabling access to web pages, files, images, videos, and more. URL components. Scheme, host, port, path, query, and fragment are the components of URL. First one is scheme. Scheme specifies the protocol used to access the resource, like HTTP or HTTPS. Second one is host. Identifies the domain name or IP address of the server hosting the resource. Third one is port. Indicates the specifies port on the server where the resource is located. Fourth one is path. Defines the hierarchical location of the resource within the server file system. And fifth one is query. Provide additional information of parameters used to filter or modify the requested resource. And the sixth one is fragment. Identify a specific section or path of resource, often used for navigation within a web page. Now we will move to URL encoding and decoding. What is URL encoding? It converts characters in a URL safe format, replacing a special character with their percent encoded equivalents. This ensures that the URL can be transmitted reliably over the network. URL decoding. Reverse the encoding process, converting encoded characters back to their original values, making the data understandable to the application. This allows server to process requested information. Now we move to handling URLs in client-server application. First is client-side handling and second one is server-side processing. Client-server applications such as web browser, we use URLs to access web pages and other resources. They send HTTP requests to servers, including the URL as part of request. Server-side processing. Server receives HTTP request containing URLs, process the request, and generate appropriate response, including the requested data or the other relevant information. Then we will move to HTTP, the foundational application layer protocol. First one is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. HTTP is the primary protocol used for communication between web clients and server. It defines the format of request and response exchange between these entities. Second one is protocol specification. HTTP is based on the well-defined specification that dictates the structure, syntax, and the schematic of the request and response. This ensures interoperability across different clients and server. Internet communication. HTTP is the foundation for accessing web pages, downloading files, streaming media, and performing many other internet activities. Now we will move to the HTTP request and the response structure. First one is request. HTTP requests include a method like GET or POST, the URL of the request resource, and headers containing additional information. Second one is response. HTTP response contain a status code indicating the outcome of the request like 20 or 404 not found. Headers, potentially a body containing the requested data. So our best practices for designing and robust client server applications, and this will end our video assignment. Hope you will like this video.